Hi, and welcome to another episode of It's Just Racing, hosted by Jim and Jim. I'm Jim,
And I'm Jim.
and we're here to talk about racing. First off, from the sprint car world, you'll never guess who won the high limits race at Lucas Oil Raceway on Friday night. Rico! Good job, Rico.
Also, a MotoGP note. They were in the Netherlands this week, and Marc Marquez won again. His sixth win of the year. Nobody else has won more than one. So he's got quite the commanding lead in the championship over his brother. It's 68 points. And I think a win is 25, just like Formula One. So that's almost 3 full races. So a good year for Marc Marquez.
So he can take a vacation.
Yep.
Moving on to Xfinity at Atlanta, now known as Echo Park Speedway, I believe. There was a 1 hour delay to start the race due to lightning in the area. Sheldon Creed was on the pole, and he led a whole 4 laps until there was a crash involving a half a dozen cars. And then it took 12 laps under caution to clean it up and whatnot. They just like to waste laps. I don't know. I'm done complaining. Creed held the lead until there was a lightning delay with 10 laps left in the stage. So the race was paused for a while again. A lot of guys pitted after the red was lifted, basically to flip the stage. Sam Meyer, why do I always do that? Sam Mayer, he's from Wisconsin, I should say his name right. Sam Mayer led the restart, then he lost the lead to Taylor Gray. Then there was a 10-car crash, which caused the stage to end under caution, with Taylor Gray receiving the stage win. The start of stage 2, Connor Zilisch and Carson Kvapil, the two definitely, I would say, the top rookies of the year, huh?
They ought to be. They're running 5th and 6th in points.
They were side by side, swapping the lead back and forth for a good 5 laps until Zilisch finally grabbed it for good, until a caution when Nick Sanchez and Matt DiBenedetto got together while running 5th and 6th. On the restart, Zilisch still led, and there was a caution 7 laps later for a 2-car incident. Harrison Burton and Leland Honeyman got together running 4th and 5th. They also collected Matt DiBenedetto and Daniel Dye. Then there's another caution on the restart for a 2-car incident. Don't even remember who it was. Doesn't matter. Stage 2 ended under caution with Brandon Jones getting the stage win. He seems to luck into a lot of stage wins, doesn't he?
I mean, sometimes he'd rather be lucky than good.
I think he's luckier than gooder. Gooder's not a word, I know. Stage 3, Eric Almirola started off in the lead until there was a single car spin and we had a caution. At a restart, Almirola still led. And there was a debris caution 2 laps later. Restart, Almirola still led. And Nick Sanchez got the lead from him. Jesse Love got past Almirola also, and they were battling side by side for a bit until Sanchez actually grabbed the lead, held on, and there was another debris caution. On the restart, Jesse Love got the lead, but Sanchez fought back and grabbed it. Carson Kvapil made a run, but it just wasn't enough, and Nick Sanchez won his first Xfinity race of the year by about 1/10 of a second over Kvapil. Too many cautions in that race.
Yeah, what time did that race end?
I think our time it was like 10 to 12. So they were in Atlanta, so that was an hour past our time, so 10 to 1 their time. Glad I wasn't there. Trucks at Lime Rock. I was excited for this race.
It's your favorite road course.
I love
You can remember all the
track.
turns.
They've got like 6 turns, so I can actually remember it and know what's going to happen. Being that they were the only NASCAR series there was a little bit of a twist. There were uncompetitive pit stops, which they do that in some road racing, don't they?
I don't know.
I feel like they do in, one of the lesser road races.
They have minimum pit stop times for a lot.
Oh, maybe that's what I was thinking.
Like an 80-second pit stop. So,
well, these were 3-minute pit stops. Since all the crews were down in Atlanta with Xfinity and Cup, I didn't mind. I kind of liked it.
Yeah, there was no pitting to flip the stage.
Right. You raced until they threw the caution, and then you raced some more. And there was a lot of racing and not a lot of cautions. This was fun. Corey Heim was on the pole. I can't believe it. Corey Heim in a truck on the pole. He was dominant as usual, winning the caution-free first stage by 7 seconds over Lane Riggs and by 15 seconds over the road race specialists Jordan Taylor, aka Rodney Sandstorm, and the 17-year-old now, Brent Cruz. Corey Heim continued to lead through stage 2, caution-free again, and won by 7 seconds again over Lane Riggs again. So they were obviously the two best trucks out there. Heim held the lead start off stage 3 and led all the laps until a single truck caution. The only caution of the race. Brought out by Matt Mills, he forgot to turn and got stuck in the grass. There was a restart with 5 to go, and just about everybody forgot how to drive. It was like it rained and they had slicks on. They were 4 or 5 wide. Everybody was missing the turn going into turn 1. It was silliness. No cautions because it's a road course. Yay. But a lot of positions lost by the guys who were in the top 10 all day. Like the aforementioned Rodney Sandstorm, Connor Mozak. All the guys who were up front, Lane Riggs, they lost a ton of positions. Didn't affect Corey Heim, though, as he drove to the win, of course. Leading every lap. Also have to know, good finishes by the two Wisconsin boys in the race. Ty Majeski didn't forget how to drive. He was like a 10th place truck all day. He finished second. And Josh Palicki also didn't forget how to drive. And he was 17th, 19th all race long and ended up 7th. So both Wisconsin drivers in the top 10. You can bring your road course ringers all you want to the truck series, but it's still the Corey Heim show.
Some more road racing that happened this weekend. The 24 Hours of Spa, the third weekend in a row with a 24-hour race.
And there were people who raced in all 3 of them, weren't there?
There were.
That's crazy.
I think there were like 6 or 7 people who raced all 3.
How you can do that?
They had a little bit of recovery time, 3 or 4 days. Everything is in Europe, so it's like a 2-hour drive to each track, even though they're all in different countries.
I suppose. I was figuring, what's that saying I heard that I don't remember, so carry on.
Anyways, Spa is different from the other 2 24-hour races that we had because it was only GT3s. It was still multi-class, but it was more of like the Pro-Am split rather than different types of cars. And they had 74 cars start the race. So that's a pretty big field for just one class. BMW has the most wins there historically. So I was looking at a couple BMWs that had real strong lineups. The ones that had just won the Nürburgring, I was looking for them to repeat. So there were a lot of good competitive cars. Also, there was Max Verstappen's team. He's got an Aston Martin team that I think is new this year. He was testing to help him with the setup last week or 2 weeks ago. And they were running in the gold class, I think, which that's the FIA driver license ratings. And that's how it was broken down by class for this race. In the end, there were 51 cars who finished. So 23 DNFs, which I think is kind of a lot. But in a long race, there's a lot of attrition.
But if you think of it the positive way, 51 cars finished.
That's true. And the top 6 were on the lead lap, so it was close racing.
That's good.
Anyways, the Lamborghini was able to get the win.
They were able to finish a race?
Yeah. I mean, Lamborghini's had, some reliability issues this year and last year. But they were able to win at Spa with Mirko Bortolotti, Jordan Pepper, and Luca Engsteyer.
I've heard of Jordan Pepper.
Yes, I think he's a driver out of South Africa. He's pretty good. He was in one of the factory drivers before the factory team got turned into a prototype team. But yeah, so congratulations to Lamborghini and that team on their win.
And how did Max's team do you know?
I believe they won their class. They finished 9th overall.
Way to go, Team Verstappen. Moving on to the empty cup race at Atlanta. Joey Logano was on the pole and led the first 37 laps until a red flag for rain. Yay! Lightning, thunder, rain. Great weekend in Georgia. Um, I have to say this was one of the most entertaining Cup races of the year. Do you agree?
I actually watched it, which says a lot. So it's automatically in the top half, and I was
Normally,
entertained.
normally when NASCAR comes on, even road courses, he says, "Okay, bye," and leaves and goes and does something else because he just has no interest in NASCAR. So he was reading a book and put down his book and actually watched this race. So it was good. It was very entertaining. Um, I have no desire to talk about every single pass, so this is going to be kind of brief. Otherwise, it would be an hour just on this track. It was great. The lead was swapped back and forth multiple times per lap, just about every lap. Um, Christopher Bell lost control near the end of stage one, got sideways. Whoever was behind him got sideways, ended up taking out a handful of cars, and then the stage ended under caution with Austin Cindric getting the win. Then to start stage two, Denny Hamlin. He, it's funny, they were trying to blame it on John Hunter Nemechek, but Denny Hamlin was a little aggressive. Pushed Nemechek bounced off the wall, and Hamlin got sideways and caused a huge wreck, one of the biggest wrecks I've seen in quite a while. The final count was 23 cars were involved of the 40 that started, so that obviously necessitated a red flag to clean everything up. And once stage two actually got going, that saw the lead swap between Ty Gibbs, Chase Elliott, Riley Herbst, Tyler Reddick, Chris Buescher, Alex Bowman, all taking the lead, falling back to fourth, taking the lead.
Once they got going, there was only one car on the lead lap that had won a race this year, and that was Shane Van Gisbergen.
Yeah, it was a fun race to watch, and yeah, we pretty much knew we were going to get a new winner after the 23 car pileup. Ended up being a photo finish at the end of the stage with the win of the stage going to Tyler Reddick. Stage 3, we had laps led by Chase Elliott, Alex Bowman, Brad Keselowski, Justin Haley. Oh, I was rooting for him to win.
You were?
Just to try to break NASCAR's point system.
Almost as much as you were rooting for Brad.
I really wanted old man Brad to win. Ty Gibbs, Ryan Preece led some laps, Zane Smith, even Recky Stenhouse got up there. Did I say Recky? Oops. Anyhow, there were a couple minor cautions, but there was a hell of a lot of great, respectful racing. If somebody tried to stick it up in there, the guy behind, he let off a little and let him in. It was fantastic racing.
And there was a little while where RFK, they were running 1, 2, and 3. Brad was leading, and Buescher and Preece were pushing him and holding everyone off. And it was looking real good for that team.
It was fun. It was a fun race to watch, I have to say that. Brad Keselowski had the lead with 5 to go. Thought he was going to finally win again until Chase Elliott just gets shot out of a cannon. Guy had a run going and went to the bottom, and it stuck. He took the lead on the last lap and won, and that's probably the loudest I've heard a crowd on television in a long time when Chase Elliott won at home.
Yeah, it's always nice to win at your home race.
It is. So
the fans surely let them hear they were happy to see it too.
So now we have another new winner, Chase Elliott.
Is that 12 winners this year then?
I believe so.
Interesting. Stay tuned if we get a few more. Now moving over to Austria for the Styrian Grand Prix from the Red Bull Ring. It was Lando and Charles starting on the front row. There was some yellow flag at the end of Q3, so Oscar Piastri and Max Verstappen were not able to get their last laps in. Oscar still started third though. And right away on the first lap, Oscar was able to pass Charles and move into second. We did have an incident before the start, going back a little. Carlos Sainz couldn't get the car started, and so the start was aborted, and they took one lap off of the length of the race. And then they brought him around to the pit lane, and he was going to have to start from the pit lane. and his car started on fire. So he did not start the race. Not a good weekend for Williams. Yeah, unfortunate for Carlos Sainz. Did not get to drive at all.
Yeah, but he misses that Ferrari seat.
Yeah, Ferrari was looking good today. But yeah, so Oscar on the first turn passed for second. He made a challenge, tried to get Lando, but Lando was able to hold him off, and he only had to hold him off for a couple corners because we had a caution right away. Safety car. Kimi Antonelli, he locked up the brakes. It looked like he just missed his braking spot by a lot. He went wide right to try not to drive into people and ended up taking out Max Verstappen in turn 3. Nothing Max could do. He probably didn't even see him coming because it was from so far back, and both cars were out of the race. Post-race, Kimi Antonelli was given a 3-place grid penalty for next week at Silverstone.
For causing a caution?
Yes.
Or collision?
A collision. So safety car came out, then they got that cleaned up. Yeah. Then there was some really good racing between Lando and Oscar. The McLarens, they were just on a different level today.
Yeah, they were the show. They could have just parked to the rest of the cars and just had the 2 McLarens out there, and that's really all you needed to watch.
Yeah, there was some really good racing between them, like lap 10 and 11. They swapped the lead a couple times, kept it clean. Made me nervous a little bit, but they kept it clean. Lando stayed in front. At the same time, there was some good racing between Bortoleto and Gasly for 7th place. Bortoleto had started in 8th, his first Q3 appearance as his best qualifying effort.
And who helped him get that?
I think it was Max giving him a
It
tow.
was Max gave him a tow. Yeah.
So Max, helping out the rookies. I'm sure Bortoleto appreciated that. Another retirement for Williams. Albon had to retire. He was in 6th place, and lap 17 came in for his pit stop, and then next lap he came in again and retired. We didn't get an explanation for what happened. They probably saw something with the analytics in the car that maybe something like what happened to Carlos was going to happen to his car. But unfortunate for Albon because he was looking like he was going to score a lot of points.
I suppose better to park it than to burn it down.
Yeah. Then there was a really bad dive bomb from Yuki Tsunoda on Lance Stroll. He pushed him off track. He was way too far back to make a move.
Now, we're not people who are going to defend Lance Stroll, so it was bad.
But yeah, Yuki comes from too far back, makes contact, pushes Lance off the track, damages his front wing. He's got to change his front wing. I don't know why there wasn't a penalty. It looked like a slam dunk 5-second penalty for causing a collision.
Yep.
Because he did not have the position. He pushed another driver off the track, and he made contact. So I don't know what the explanation is for why nothing happened.
Perhaps it's because the FIA does not have full-time stewards. They just have volunteers who show up at the track on the morning and say, I'll do it. Can I wear a funny white jacket?
I mean, I'd be a pretty good steward, I think, if you make a full-time position. I'd give very fair penalties.
Also, we'll come as a team.
We will. And then we had some pit stops around lap 20. Lando had a slow stop. There was an opportunity where Oscar could have pitted the next lap, but the team asked his input, and he wanted the tire offset, so he went 4 or 5 laps longer. And he also had a slow stop. It was the left front was slow on both of their stops.
Yeah, I think they need to have a little extra left front practice this week.
But so there was like a 6-second gap between the two after that, and Lando was trying to just put some good laps in. Sauber, I feel they made a tactical error here because they pitted Bortoleto, and they pitted him. He came out in a bunch of traffic. He was behind Hulkenberg. He was behind the guys that Hulkenberg was fighting with, and he lost probably 3 or 4 seconds trying to get past those guys. And I feel like they should have left him out a couple laps later to get ahead of that traffic. So just a tactical error from Binotto and the Sauber team. That didn't really hurt him too much, though. Maybe in the end it did, but Bortoleto drove a very good race.
He did. I was impressed by the youngster.
At this point, Yuki Tsunoda, he made another bad move. He spun Colapinto coming out of a corner. You could see it coming from like 5 seconds before it happened. You're like, oh, Yuki's gonna wreck him, and then Yuki wrecked him.
Now Colapinto who's he drive for again?
Alpine.
Okay, so he's one of the guys who gets a 5-race tryout, and if you don't win, you're fired.
Yes.
Cool. Yeah, good thing you wrecked him. Good job, Yuki.
Anyways, so yeah, Yuki he wrecks Colapinto. Colapinto does a nice job spinning it around, keeping the car going, doesn't stall it or anything. Yuki did get a penalty for this, luckily, or as I wouldn't say luckily, but he should have gotten a penalty.
As deserved.
And he did, yes, deservedly got a penalty. 10 seconds. Yeah, you can't be causing collisions, Yuki. Don't do that.
But does the 10 seconds really matter when you're the slowest car on the freaking track and you're a Red Bull?
No, it does not.
Gosh, it's embarrassing.
For him.
For Red Bull as an organization.
Yeah. Anyways, at this point, you had a few drivers trying the one-stop. Esteban Ocon, Fernando Alonso, possibly Liam Lawson. They were all thinking about doing the one-stop to try to get some points. Lewis Hamilton wanted a one-stop, but Ferrari pitted him again. I think he wanted the one-stop because he knew he wasn't going to be able to catch Charles. They were running third and fourth, and he thought he might be able to hang on for a podium, but Ferrari did not want that, and so they pitted him and put him back in fourth place, like 8 seconds behind Charles. And then there was another incident involving Colapinto and Yuki. They were fighting each other for last place, which at this point was like 15th and 16th, and they're getting lapped. And Colapinto just had no awareness of what was going on around him because he just drove Oscar Piastri into the grass. He just came across like he didn't even look in his mirror, see the bright orange McLaren passing.
Now, in his defense, he was fighting with someone else at the time, so he probably had all of his vision on the very slow Red Bull of Yuki Tsunoda and wasn't thinking about being lapped. And you'd think that his team would tell him what was going on over the radio.
I don't think that it's a defense that he was fighting Yuki, because Yuki still had the 10-second penalty, so he didn't need to pass Yuki.
Well,
plus he was in 15th.
Did he know that? We don't know how good the communication is from the Alpine folks.
Well, either way, Colapinto got a 5-second penalty because he almost wrecked the second place car and championship leader while getting lapped. So that was not impressive from him. I'd really like to see a little better awareness, especially as a McLaren fan.
Yeah, you're even wearing your orange today.
I'm wearing my papaya. There was a little bit of a last lap chaos. Oscar had been catching Lando, not quite fast enough. The gap was a little under 2 seconds. But on the last lap, they were coming up on Fernando Alonso and Gabriel Bortoleto, who were fighting for 7th place. And they were lapping them. And Lando was able to get by them after they were running side by side, so it cost him some time. And Oscar got close, not close enough to get in DRS range, and Lando was able to hold on for the win. Oscar was second, and Charles Leclerc rounded out your podium. A couple notable point scorers. Liam Lawson with his best result, I think, of his career, with a 6th place.
And that was the best Red Bull finish.
Yeah.
I mean, not that they're Red Bull, but they're Red Bull.
Yep. Bortoleto hung on for 8th place. He was so close to passing Fernando. He passed Fernando, and Fernando passed him back. Really good racing between the two of them.
Now, Fernando works for Bortoleto, right?
Yeah, he's his manager. We went to congratulate him after the race. It was a nice moment between the two of them. And it was double points for Sauber. So Nico Hulkenberg started last, and he drove up to 9th. So good drive from Hulk.
He still got it. I like that guy. I think if he was in some good equipment, he'd be a good 4th, 5th place guy.
Yeah. But anyways, so what that does to the championship, Oscar still leads by 15 points over Lando. Max is like 50 points behind him at this point, so he's irrelevant. He's over 2 races back.
That hurts. That hurts to hear you say.
Well, I mean,
Max will never be irrelevant, but I understand your statement.
Ferrari has taken back second place in the constructors. They lead by 1 point over Mercedes now. So nice fight between those two constructors. And there's also a great midfield battle between RB, Haas, Aston, and Sauber. There's 10 points between those four teams for sixth place. And that carries a lot of money if you finish in that sixth place.
Isn't it like $1 million a place or something?
It's
or
more than
$10
that.
million
I think it's 10 million
place?
per place. So that makes a big difference to those midfield teams.
Yeah. Well, at least there's some good racing going on. On a somber note, this has been a tough year in motocross with injuries and other things. 16-year-old up-and-coming rider Aiden Zing lost his life yesterday, which would be Saturday for those of you watching, at Mammoth Mountain in California. Aiden won the AMA National Championship last year in the 13 to 16-year-old class and had just signed with Team Green Kawasaki this year. So our thoughts were with the family of young Aiden. Next week, we've got Cup and Xfinity at the Chicago Street Circuit, right? Instead of Road America, where they're supposed to be.
Didn't you send an email about that?
I've been getting email. They must be struggling to sell tickets to that race.
Well, who would want to go to it?
I was getting daily emails from an account executive from NASCAR. I have no idea how I got on their list. And I responded to him finally after the second or third email. And I said that I have no desire to go to watch a Chicago street race when there is a perfectly good, proper road course with better atmosphere, better seating, and better racing right up north here in Wisconsin. And then he stopped emailing me, so I guess he didn't like the truth. So yeah, Cup and Xfinity are in Chicago. Indy is at Mid-Ohio and Formula One at Silverstone. So everything is a road course or street course.
That's what I like to see. You can cover the NASCAR ones. I won't watch the street course.
I know you won't. All right. That's all we have for this week, I think, right?
Yeah, that's all I got.
All right. And thanks for listening.